The only way a domain would actually help your SEO and drive traffic is if you built a website on every single domain you owned. Welcome back to Duo On Air. I'm Abby.
And I'm Courtney.
And we're the X agency turned entrepreneurial team that puts the Duo in Duo Collective. Our boutique organic marketing agency specializes in SEO, social media strategy, and branding.
We're an everyday pair of business besties / marketing experts obsessed with helping our community learn more about what it takes to run a business.
Which is why on Duo On Air, we're not holding anything back. We're giving you all the info we know about how to grow your business organically so you can be the confident CEO you were made to be.
And how to navigate life as a small business owner.
Whether it's on your own or with your best friend by your side, so grab your coffee
or your mimosa, we don't judge,
and settle in for a quick value-packed episode of Marketing Tips. Welcome back to the Duo On Air podcast. This is episode number 123, and today I want to talk about domains. Specifically, I want to talk about this myth that's living out there that owning multiple domains can actually help your SEO. And I'm honestly not even sure how that could be true, and I'm going to talk all about that. And first, just to back it up a little bit, when I'm talking about a domain, I'm talking about your .com, your .org, whatever that is what your domain is. So that URL basically that lives up there. So I want to talk in this episode about one, why this is a myth. I want to talk about the real reasons why you might want to actually own multiple domains, some of the hidden costs that come with that, and also what is the deal with keyword-rich domains and should you use them or not? So let's kind of start first with the myth. Buying multiple domains will help your SEO. True or false? Well, false. So let's talk about why. This goes all back to how search engines work. And we chatted about this in depth on episode 109. So make sure you go back and peek at that one if you want like a really detailed explanation of how search engines work and actually get your content from your website to a search engine. So basically, the gist of it is that in order to show up on a search engine, you need to have helpful content on your website. Now, if you own multiple domains, the chances are they don't all exist. You don't have an actual website behind all of the domains. Your domains are just living in your GoDaddy or your Squarespace or wherever it is that you're managing them. And there's no content there. If there's no content, Google can't index that on a search engine. So it's never going to drive you traffic from a search engine, which SEO is search engine optimization. So it's not actually going to do anything for your SEO. The only way a domain would actually help your SEO and drive traffic is if you built a website on every single domain you owned and you made sure that it wasn't the same website and that it's actually unique content, because Google does something else called duplicate content, where it will where if it deems that your websites or your content is duplicated, it won't put it on a search engine. So you can't just replicate your website and put it across all of these. That's not going to work. And the chances are you don't want to create 10 different websites for the 10 different domains you own. It just doesn't make sense. So overall, it's really not going to drive traffic for you. And I honestly don't even know how this myth came about that you should buy all of these domains. So let's actually talk about the real reasons why you might want to own multiple domains other than just your core domain where your website lives. One is to protect your brand. So you might not want competitors or other people out there to buy something that's super similar to your brand name. So because of that, you might want to buy up the other domains so that no one else can buy them. This is very true if your business is your name, because you don't want different variations of your name, your short name, your long name, your middle name, your first name and last name, whatever the variations are. You may or may not want to own them just so that no one else can come in and confuse the two of you or just cause this kind of issue with someone owning the same name as you. Two is typos. So say you have a brand that is commonly mistyped. That means people going directly to your website. So they're not even going to Google. They're just directly entering your domain into that top search bar. If they do that, you want to make sure that any misspellings of your name are also automatically redirected to your domain. That will help make sure people get to the right place. And third, for future expansion. So, say you know you're going to create a new line of products or a new segment of your company or some other variation where you need to own a different domain for future growth. That is another reason why you might want to own a domain while right now it doesn't have a website associated with it. So, those are the three reasons: protect your brand, catching typos, and any future expansion. And a lot of this has to do with protection. You're really just covering your butt, right? Like that's kind of how this works. So that is why you're doing it. You're not doing it for an SEO purpose. So let's talk about some of the hidden costs of this, because that's great. You can go up and buy all different variations of your domain and protect them, but there are some costs that are associated with that. So there's registration and renewal fees every year, and depending on how premium your domain is, it could cost a pretty penny to actually keep that domain year after year. You don't just buy it once, you have to renew it every year. Maintenance. So again, if you are going to eventually host multiple websites, that's going to cost money. You need somewhere to host your website. You also will need to eventually build the website, manage the brand. And then if you have multiple websites, you already know how tough it is to make sure that your one website can rank by creating new content and helpful content. So imagine having to do this for every single domain you own. It's a lot of work, and you likely need a team in place just to make that happen. And then third, is you're going to create, this isn't a cost, so to speak, but this is definitely a cost in terms of losing people or business, because you're going to create confusion. If you have multiple domains out there that are driving to the same place and you speak about all of them and you're not just instead reinforcing your brand, you're going to really dilute your brand and confuse your customers and confuse your audience. So that's another thing to be very cautious of, is making sure that you have a brand that you're building upon. And I'm going to talk more about that in a little bit. So a couple alternatives to having multiple domains, because you don't need multiple domains. It's not helping you for SEO. It's not driving more traffic unless someone's directly typing in that domain into the bar of the internet, basically. And it's just really not doing much for you. So alternative, basically, one is you want to focus on your primary domain. Focus on that, grow your SEO there, drive traffic there, create content there, and really just grow your brand authority overall, making sure people understand your brand and they understand how to get there. It's an easy to spell domain, and you're building a strong brand around it. And then after that, you really just need to focus on driving traffic to it with whatever marketing tactics you love to do: email, social, SEO, creating blog content, doing a podcast, whatever it may be, but focus on driving traffic to that domain. Again, the other domains aren't going to do much for you. And if you have multiple pieces of marketing out there driving traffic to multiple different domains, you're going to create a lot of confusion. So that is a huge reason why we don't recommend it. All right, one more thing I want to touch on: keyword rich domains. So what is this? It's basically a domain that is going to include relevant keywords from your business or your industry. So consider, instead of duocollective.com, we said minnesotamarketer.com or wellnesscoach.com or nontoxiccandles.com. These are really keyword rich URLs that you essentially are using to drive traffic, because your URL or your domain can be a ranking factor to help you show up for that keyword. So some people do it. However, in my professional opinion, I don't think it's a good choice. And Courtney, if she were sitting next to me right now and not sick, she would agree. And I want to just actually share some words from John Mueller, who is actually the head of search at Google. So someone had asked him about keyword rich domains and if people should own them and have their website live there. And he basically said, I am not a fan of keyword rich domains because everyone thinks you're a spammer. Changing your business focus or even expanding is actually really hard. You have no brand name. Therefore, there's nothing people can search for that would show your site. And you're always competing with other people who are trying to rank for that keyword without getting any brand recognition for it. So think about it. If we decided not to be Duo Collective and we were just Minnesota Marketer, that would be really hard to continue to build that authority and ranking. People aren't going to remember that long term, and it's just a really hard brand to build. You want people to remember your brand name. You don't want them to remember you just for what you do, right? So there are sometimes businesses that can build a brand around a keyword. So in doing some keyword research for some of my clients, I came across some that do perform really well because their domain is their keyword. One was Launch Kit Design. It's an agency that not only specializes in people launching, but they do a lot of marketing collateral and marketing support for different people. That brand name is basically Launch Kit, and it does drive a lot of traffic for them. Another one, Green Building Supply. So they sell supplies for like building materials and supplies for builders, and it's green, eco-friendly, sustainable products. Green Building Supply. That works very well for them. A lot of people are searching for it. It is hard to know when you're doing the keyword research if people are searching for them or if they're searching for the product. Like, it's really hard to differentiate in your analytics what's actually working for you. Are you growing your brand authority or not? Like, who knows, because it's a good keyword, but it's also your brand name. There's a few others out there like Game Day Couture. Like, they perform really well because Game Day is a part of their brand, but couture is actually something that's like, yes, it's probably not searched as much as Game Day apparel, but it's definitely a similarity that's helping them. Another popular gal out there, Manifestation Babe. Manifestation, she kind of like coined that term a long time ago, and manifestation living in her brand name makes a lot of sense, but she's helped to differentiate it, adding that babe, which in my opinion helped her a lot. So there are ways that you can build your brand around your keyword. If you're in this phase right now where you're thinking of building a new business, it is something to consider. However, creating your own brand without forcing a keyword into it usually is going to be a better route. So again, I wouldn't force it, but it can absolutely be a part of your exploration process. So if you own multiple domains, like if you're listening to this right now and you're like, Abby, I bought multiple domains because I thought that's what I was supposed to do, so now I own 27, please help me. It's okay. Honestly, what I want you to do right now is run them against the real reasons that we walked through of why you have them. Do you have them for protection? Do you have them for typos? Do you have them for expansion? If they hit the mark, keep them. Like, it's not hurting your SEO. It's just not helping your SEO either. So keep them. And if they don't, then save a little bit of money and let some of them go, because now you know and you have permission that these domains aren't actually helping you. Or maybe you've built your brand on a keyword domain and you actually feel like you haven't been able to build that brand recognition that I'm talking about. Then it might be time to go back and peek at your brand strategy and build something unique and ownable. Now might be the time to take that keyword rich domain and create it as a redirect to whatever your new brand name is going to be, that you can actually build up that brand authority and recognition. And before you run off, if you want to keep this theme going and keep going through and busting all of these SEO myths, because I love to bust a good SEO myth. We actually have an episode, if you scroll all the way back to episode 19, we walk through 7 bad SEO strategies that still exist today, and I really wish they didn't, but they do. So go back, tune into that, and make sure there aren't any myths out there that you believe to be true.
If you like this episode, please be sure to share it with a friend and subscribe so you don't miss any new episodes dropping every Monday. Plus, if you haven't already, please go ahead and leave us a review and don't hesitate to share any new episode ideas. We absolutely love hearing from you and creating this content for you. See you next week.